Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we are back with another installment of my curated collection series, this time for dark academia. You might remember me sharing my favorite light academia shades a couple of months ago, and I know I've gotten so many requests to do dark academia probably since the beginning of this series months ago, so I'm so sorry it's taken so long, but what better time to get into this dark and moody aesthetic than right now. So if you aren't familiar, dark academia basically focuses on this darker aesthetic of academics and literature. There's definitely this romanticized view on the pursuit of knowledge, which I think is so evident when you come across any kind of social media posts that feature these beautifully curated dark libraries. So I will save some more of my thoughts for the end. For now, let me just show you the swatches. No surprise, I'm going to have a couple of dark browns. The first shade that I have is Cracked Polish's Leather Bound, which is from the very fitting Page Turner collection. This is a rich, luxurious brown multi-chrome kind of formula that I feel like, despite the name, reminds me of polished dark wood furniture that's illuminated by a fireplace. But it could definitely work for a leather-bound book or journal. It is just so beautiful. I love how dark and moody this is, and it has a great formula too. The next shade I have is Holo Taco's Inkwell from their Dark Academia collection. So if you remember my initial review, I wasn't super crazy about this shade. I just thought that the base was so dark, like too dark, that it basically swallows up the shimmer. But then I saw a comment that just made me reframe the way that I look at this polish. They said that they love this one because it looked like wet ink that reflects the candlelight, and how perfectly moody is that for this theme? The next sparkly brown that I have is one of my absolute favorites, and that's Zoya Tasha. This is described as a brunette metallic, and I chose this one for those dark metallic features or accents, whether they're picture frames or candle holders. Not that I think it's a perfect match, since those usually have this softer, almost brush metal kind of finish, but like I said, this is just one of my favorite browns, and I thought it fit well in this lineup. And the last sparkly brown that I have is Ave Sequoia, which is this incredibly dark, moody blackened brown with a very subtle hollow effect. So I mainly chose this one because the dark brown base reminds me of a cup of coffee, which stereotypically academics are drinking a lot of, and they're probably drinking it black too, but I need a little sugar in mine. Then moving on to some creams, the first one that I have should be no surprise if you're familiar with my channel. This is OPI's Brown to Earth, which I feel like I talk about all the time because it is just one of my favorite dark browns. It has this gorgeous creamy formula that I think is so cozy. It reminds me a lot of dark brown sweaters or slacks seen in a dark academia wardrobe. I included this clip with the bottle because it's a bit more color accurate. I do have another dark brown cream, and this one is Ave Volcanic, which might look similar to Brown to Earth, but this one is a bit more muted and also a bit cooler toned. I personally think that just elevates this a little bit more. There's something about a cool tone brown that I love so much, and this one always makes me feel so classy and elegant. I would love to have a long trench coat in this color. It is just such a staple, especially for fall. And the last brown related cream that I have is Essie's Sleigh It, which I think is much more of a taupe kind of color. This one definitely is a lot lighter than the previous shades, but also a little bit grayer. I feel like this color works so well with dark academia fashion. So finally, moving on to some color, the first shade that I have is Cracked Polishes Red, which is from the same page turner collection as Leatherbound. This is a deep, vampy red crelly, and I know Holo Taco released one too in their Dark Academia collection, but I just prefer this one because you can still tell that it's red. I feel like this is the exact color of those dark romance novels. Next I have NCLA's Eat Pie, Drink Wine, which sadly isn't around anymore, but it's this gorgeous muted wine purple cream. I absolutely love the idea of a muted purple wall color. It is just so luxe, and I feel like this shade is the perfect color match to this photo I found. My partner Ryan is a brooding Scorpio who loves the color purple, and I feel like he would love this as a wall color for his home library. This next shade is Essie's Home by 8, which honestly I feel like the name alone is very fitting, but I also just loved this deep, warm charcoal shade for this aesthetic. It just feels so elegant and classy, and maybe more elevated than a true black cream. Navy blue is also a staple for Dark Academia, and I chose Static's Rio for my pick, which is a super dark but slightly muted navy blue. I think this is another great contender for a moody room color, by the way, especially if there's a lot of gold accents. It creates such a beautiful contrast. And last but certainly not least, I have Holo Taco's Headhunter from their Dark Academia collection. This was my top favorite from that set, and it is truly one of my favorite dark greens. This was literally the exact shade of green that I would envision for this lineup, and I am so happy that they came out with it. And finally, here is my collage for my Dark Academia lineup. I of course had to highlight a lot of deep browns for this aesthetic, and while it can be a little monotonous, I do love that Dark Academia features these rich jewel tone colors for a little more personality. I can't wait to hear what you think of this collage because I find it so satisfying. So that wraps up my curated collection for Dark Academia. As always, I can't wait to hear what you think of my lineup or just for the aesthetic in general, because I definitely think it's a beautiful one, and I feel pretty good about my picks as well, especially when it came to balancing the darker browns with some pops of color. I feel like a lot of those shades just really remind me of these like elite university uniforms. But anyway, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave me a like if you did, or leave me any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!